Good evening. Welcome to our virtual Seder. I've chosen to deliver this message from this place because this is my pandemic spot. This is where I do all my Zoom calls. This is where I do my teachings. This is where I meditate every day. This is the place where I've experienced the pandemic, and I thought this is the place where I need to talk to you, because a year ago, I stood right outside this door having no idea what this year would hold. No idea whether any of us would survive it. And although right now there are some people, because they've had the vaccine, that are with their families, which is absolutely fantastic, for most of us, we're still sheltering at home. And we are going to add next year in person to our next year in Jerusalem. But tonight, as we recognize and realize, as we hope that the worst is way behind us, how much we needed two things to survive over this year: a strong, open heart, and each other. Bachya ibn Bakuda from the Middle Ages writes in his book, Duties of the Heart, this notion that although God has determined the length of our days already, it is still our duty to pursue survival. That we shouldn't say, if God wants me to live, then my body will survive without food, without water, without shelter, without protection from the elements. So I'm not even going to try to make a living. We could have felt that way this year during the pandemic. We could have said, I'm not going to protect myself. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to be socially distant. I'm not going to reach out to my family and my friends and my community for social and spiritual nourishment, because if God wanted me to have those things, God would give those things to me. I'm sure that there are many people who thought that way, but our Jewish experience over thousands of years has taught us that in order to survive, we need to support each other through difficult times. Our experience has taught that what we're doing tonight, as we reflect and retell and remember the hardships of our ancestors, that's needed so that we know that our survival in life, with all of its adversity and suffering, it's up to us and the people we share our lives with. At the same time, we need to recognize that not all of us have survived over this past year. And our hearts are heavy for those hundreds of thousands of souls that were lost during this pandemic. And we hold them all heavily in our hearts as we join together to celebrate the survival of our people. What did it take to survive all of that? And what will it take to continue our survival in the future, in the face of turmoil and uncertainty and destruction? That's what we explore this evening in our Seder. So, welcome to the Temple Emanuel of Beverly Hills, Virtual Seder 2021.
We light the festival candles and fill our lives with light and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Yom Tov.
Chag Sameach, everyone, from our house to your house. Be safe.
We recite Khad Gadya when we do something for the first time or for the first time in a season. It's a gratitude prayer to God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this day.
Literally, it's a prayer of gratitude for surviving. Being a survivor can mean many different things. Shayna, when you hear the word survivor, what does it mean to you?
I think being a survivor means to be brave, strong, and courageous through whatever you are going through.
Geffen, what must one experience in order to be designated a survivor?
One must experience hardship and challenging times, like COVID-19, which forces them to persevere to survive.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
And now, the order of the Seder.
Kadesh Orchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid Rachza, Motzi Matzah, Maror Korech, Shulchan Orech, Tzafun Barech, Alel Nirtzah.
Chag Sameach!
Chag Sameach!
Chag Sameach!
Chag Sameach.
Why 4 cups of wine? Well, each cup that we drink corresponds to a promise in Jewish tradition that God made to the Israelite people to free us, to save us, to redeem us, and to take us to be God's people. Now, we often only emphasize this first cup of wine, the cup of freedom. But freedom in and of itself is an incomplete gift. It is only a good when we use it for good. So as we bless and drink this first cup of wine, we do so and we remember that this is only the start to our story.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am veromemanu mikol lashon vekidshanu b'mitzvotav vatitein lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava modim lesimcha hagim uzmanim et yom hag hamatzot hazeh zeman cherutenu mikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu vacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim umoed kodshecha besimcha uvsason Hinchalatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim.
A year ago we said, we're all in this together. A year ago we seemed to have come face to face with an essential spiritual truth. Every living thing is connected to every other living thing. What happens with a bat in China changes the lives of people in New York City. A hospital worker in LA can bring the virus home to her extended family who all share a small apartment. We are all in this together. It's another way of saying that fundamental teaching of the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself. But what does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself? One rabbi explained, you shall love for your neighbor what you love for yourself. In other words, loving your neighbor as yourself means wishing for our neighbors what we wish for our own selves. So what do I wish for myself? That I be safe, that I be happy, that I be strong, that I live with ease. In fact, every day I meditate with those words. But it's not an affirmation. I don't say I am safe, I am happy. It's instead an aspiration, it's a hope, it's a wish. So I bless myself. May I feel safe. May I feel happy. Bad things might be happening, but if my mind can stay clear, I can still wish for safety, for happiness, for strength, and for ease. And the clearer and calmer I am, the more I can face those challenges. We're all vulnerable. Life is fragile. We need each other. We are all connected. We are all in this together. But if we are all in this together, then why does our healthcare system privilege those with more money? Why do so many children not have access to virtual learning because they can't get internet or they lack the hardware available to children of privilege? Why are private schools able to open while public schools are still not getting the support that they need to make it safe to bring children and teachers back to their classrooms? Passover reminds us that we have lived through hard times before. We will get through this pandemic. But will we learn from it that it is on us to repair the world so that we truly are all in it together?
Why is it important that we wash our hands, especially before we eat?
Because we will have germs on our hands. Because our food will get dirty.
All right, let's wash our hands. Okay.
Mom,
all right, Cooper's turn.
For soap.
Soap?
It doesn't matter that the...
All right, good job.
I need a towel.
The Song of Songs recalls the intimate relationship between God and the Jewish people, like lovers coming together on a spring day.
Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter's past, and the rain is gone. The flowers appear on earth, and the time for singing is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard. The fig tree bringeth forth her green figs, and the vines and blossoms bring forth their fragrance. Arise, arise, my love, my fair one, come away. Arise, my love, and come away. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. And come
Get out your parsley. Get out your salt water.
Sam, this is my Seder plate. This is the parsley. We dip it in salt water to remember the salty tears that our ancestors cried back when they were slaves in Egypt. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'adamah. Hey, that was really tasty. May I please have one 100,358 more pieces, Mom.
We begin the telling of our story by lifting up the matzah, opening wide the door to our Seder, and offering an invitation to anyone who can hear us to come join in our Seder meal. The original version of this text was not in Hebrew, but in Aramaic, the language that everybody could understand. As we say this, we imagine a time and a place where this invitation could have actually brought in poor and needy people off the street to celebrate side by side our Seder with our family and friends and guests. We take the middle matzah and we break it in half. One half we hide as the afikomen.
This is the bread of affliction, which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. All who are hungry, let them eat. All who are in need, let them come celebrate Passover with us. Now we are here. Next year in the land of Israel. Now we are enslaved. Next year we will be free.
At the very moment that we gather to remember the past, we speak about the future. We experience our past as a link in the chain connecting our history and our future. As the late Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sacks teaches in his Haggadah, the Passover story is our memory and our hope. A memory of one journey to freedom we took in the distant past, and the hope that another journey to freedom will soon happen for us again. Now we are slaves, but next year we shall be free.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה? מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו הולכים המתו מצא, המתו מצא. הלילה הזה כולו מצא. הלילה הזה כולו מצא. שבכל הלילות אנו הולכים שעייר הכל, שעייר הכל. הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה מרור, שבכל הלילות אין אנו מתבלים אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הזה שתהא פעמים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה שתהא פעמים. שבחו הלילות אנו הולכים ביושבים ובמסובים, ביושבים ובמסובים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה כולנו
Every year on Passover, we are commanded not only to say we were slaves in Egypt, but to imagine ourselves as slaves in Egypt, to taste the bitterness of slavery on our tongues, and to feel the powerlessness on our shoulders. We do this to build our empathy muscles so that we will work to free those still enslaved in our world today. Avadim Hayinu reminds us that it is incumbent on us to continue our tradition of freeing the captive in order to bring our world closer to redemption.
Avadim Hayinu, Hayinu, Ata b'nei Horin, b'nei Horin. Avadim Hayinu, Ata b'nei Horin. Avadim Hayinu, Ata b'nei Horin, b'nei Horin. Ata b'nei Horin, b'nei Horin. Avadim Hayinu, Hayinu. Ata b'nei Horin, b'nei Horin. Avadim Hayinu. Ata b'nei Horin. Avadim Hayinu. Ata b'nei Horin, b'nei Horin. Ata b'nei Horin, b'nei Horin.
My father, a Holocaust survivor who died this past summer, used to tell a story about a small village whose Jews had been captured and were being taken off to their deaths. In this village, there was a young boy who had a beautiful voice, and the leader of the Nazis demanded that the boy sing for him. And so, in a final act of resistance, the boy sang, Vehi she'amda. Vehi she'amda, Vehi she'amda, la'avotenu velanu. Vehi she'amda, Vehi she'amda, la'avotenu velanu.
Vehi she'amda lavoteinu, Vehi she'amda lavoteinu velanu, shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu lechalotenu, amad aleinu lechalotenu. Vehi she'amda lavoteinu, Vehi she'amda lavoteinu לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם. שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, לכלותנו. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו. והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו.
God's unfailing help has sustained us and our ancestors. For not only one enemy has risen up to destroy us, but in every generation do enemies seek to annihilate us. Yet the Holy One, praised be He, delivers us from their hands.
And now the four children.
The wise child.
What is the meaning of the laws and traditions God has commanded?
When there is anything not yet asked, or asked but its answer not yet known, do not give up. When there is anything not yet thought over, or thought over but not yet apprehended, do not give up. When there is anything not yet practiced, or practiced but not yet earnestly, do not give up. If another succeeds by one effort, you will use 100 efforts. If another succeeds by 10 efforts, you will use 1,000 efforts.
The wicked child.
This means nothing to me. What does this even mean to you?
Humanity subdues inhumanity as water subdues fire. Nowadays, those who practice humanity do so as if with 1 cup of water they could save a whole wagon load of fuel on fire. They see flames, they throw a little water, but the flames are not extinguished. Then they conclude, water cannot subdue fire. This is as bad as those who are inhumane. At the end, they will surely lose what little humanity they have. Now, the simple child.
What is all this?
To be stupid and also to like to use his own judgment. To be in a humble station and also like to dictate to others. To live in the present world and to go back to the ways of antiquity. People of this sort bring calamity on themselves and on others. Human nature may be compared to the eyes. In sleep they are shut and there is darkness. They must await the awakening before they can see. Before the awakening, it may be said that they possess the basic quality of sight, but it cannot be said that they see. Now the nature of all people possesses the basic substance, but it is not yet awakened. It is like the people in sleep, waiting to be awakened. Those whose eyes are open should wake others ever so gently.
I should come over here and pray. Well, I got to get my people out of Pharaoh's hand and lead them on over to the promised land. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, all of God's people came to the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army coming after me. Well, I raised my rock and I stuck it in the sand, and all of God's people walked across dry land. Here we go. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, all of Pharaoh's army was coming too. So what did you think that I could do? Well, I raised my rod and I cleared my throat, and all of Pharaoh's army did the dead man float. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's the story of that stubborn goat. Pharaoh should have known that chariots don't float. Well, the lesson is simple and it's easy to find. When God says go, you had better mind. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Huh? Yeah, 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 yeah.
It is a common custom now in progressive Seders to reflect on not only the plagues in ancient Egypt, but also those that we grapple with today.
Do you remember what modern day plagues you named last year?
Are you still afflicted by the same ones this year?
What has changed? What hasn't?
Plagues. Dam,
blood,
Spardea,
frogs,
Tinim,
lice,
Arov,
insects,
Seder,
cattle disease,
Shchin,
boils,
Barad,
hail,
Arve,
locust,
Choshech,
darkness,
Makat Bechoros.
the land of the firstborn.
Happy Passover from the cultural pack.
Sing with me! Sing with me! One morning when Pharaoh awoke in his bed, there were frogs on his bed and frogs on his head, frogs on his nose and frogs on his toes. Frogs here, frogs there, frogs were jumping everywhere.
Gesundheit.
Ilu hotzi hotzianu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim hotzianu mi Mitzrayim dayenu 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 dayenu
Rabban Gamliel used to say, "Whoever has not explained the following three things on Pesach has not fulfilled one's duty. Pesach, matzah, maror."
Come on, girls, we gotta go. We're running late. Jazzy, why did you just kiss the mezuzah?
Because the angel of death put lamb blood on the Jews' doors and passed over each house.
And that's why it's called Passover. Oh my gosh! I think we forgot snacks. Do you have any? What you got there, Em?
I have Pesach, matzah, and maror.
Great. Well, happy Passover from the Breyer family.
Our ancestors were immigrants in Egypt. They came for a better life. At first they were welcomed, but then a new king arose over Egypt who oppressed the Israelites, and their suffering grew. For us, that king is but a character in a story we recall each year, but for others, the oppression continues.
This year, as we prepare to enter not the promised land, but a land of post-COVID, post-election normalcy, we must not forget that there are still new immigrants, including children alone and young women with infants, who are suffering under the bitter yoke of poverty and prejudice. And our hearts remain heavy as the very same plague that we are being vaccinated against is still devastating so many of our critical service workers and their families.
Time to really wash our hands.
This is our ritual hand washing where we say a prayer, and the English translation is, "Blessed is God who gives us the opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of washing our hands." And Dahlia and I are going to show you guys how we do that together, right? Baruch atah Eloheinu asher kiddushanu b'tzvotah b'tzivanu al nitilat yadayim. 1, 2, 3. Now you take your other. And you go 1, 2, 3. Wash it, wash it, wash it. And spray that.
It's time to bless and eat the matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achlit matzah.
Brace yourselves for the bitter herbs.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Blessed are you, we praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy by your mitzvot and commands us to eat maror.
Survivors are often defined by resilience, by taking the bitter and tempering it with the sweet.
Our Hillel sandwich is a symbolic fusion of these two parts of life, an affirmation of our resilience.
What gives you resilience? What do you turn to for source of strength?
This is really when our meal together begins.
And now it's time to make the Hillel sandwich. For this portion, you will need matzah, haroset, which represents the cement that we used in ancient Egypt to build the pyramids, and bitter herbs. I am using horseradish. This represents the bitterness of slavery. So for your sandwich, you take a piece of matzah, you put on a scoop of haroset. My haroset has apples, honey, cinnamon, brown sugar, walnuts, and manischewitz. And you take a little bit of your bitter herbs on top as well. And when we eat this, we think about how life has moments that are bitter, moments that are sweet, sometimes moments that are both, but you take the good with the bad.
After we were freed, our ancestors had this collective moment of looking around at each other and saying, okay, now what? Because while we were freed, we were by no means safe. The Egyptians still chased after us and threatened us. So the second glass we drink to the second promise in our tradition, that we will be saved, that we would be safe. Had we been left in the land of our oppression, surrounded by our oppressors, we never would have reached our full potential as a people, even with the shackles and the suffering removed. With the promise that we would be safe, we gained the space to fully become ourselves. Yes, carrying the mental scars of the past, but no longer having a physical blockade to becoming and reaching our potential. So we raise and bless this second cup of wine to this second promise, the promise that we will be safe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. Let's eat.
Off you coming on 3. 1, 2, 3. Off you coming.
After we've eaten our meal, we give thanks. This year we give thanks for so much more than a meal. We give thanks for our health. We give thanks for our families who are still with us. We give thanks to all those loved ones who have kept us going over these last 12 months. We sing in gratitude.
Baruch atah Adonai. We give thanks for everything. Our food and our table and our family and friends. In gratitude we sing. Baruch atah Adonai. Azan et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai. We give thanks for everything. Our food and our table and our family and friends. In gratitude we sing. Baruch atah Adonai. Azan et hakol.
Our third cup is for the promise of redemption. Now, in the biblical context, redemption was about bringing something back that was lost, buying it back, returning it to its original state, making something found. So on Passover, we remind ourselves that even when we feel lost, when we feel that the world is lost, that there is a path to return, to redemption, to finding and to being found. So we lift our third glass and we drink to the promise of redemption.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
In just a moment, we are going to open the door for Elijah the prophet. Our tradition teaches us that Elijah is the bringer of the world to come, a world perfected, a world made whole again. And of course, this year especially, we really want our world to be made whole again. So we open the door and sing for Elijah to come and make our world whole. Ruby and I are going to open the door. Ruby, you want to come open the door for Elijah? Here we go. We're going to open the door. Can you open the door, Ruby? Open the door for Elijah. All right. Hi, Elijah.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, Bimera veyamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Im Mashiach ben David, Im Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi.
I will take you to be my people. The fourth cup that we drink, the final cup, is the promise that God will take us to be God's people. But this promise is more of a responsibility. The first 3 cups that we drank for freedom, for safety, for saving, and for redemption, those were all things that God did for us. But in this fourth promise that we will be taken to be God's people, it actually lays out the responsibility that we have beyond the Seder, beyond Passover, something that we carry into our everyday lives. The promise that we will be taken to be God's people means that we need to live up to being God's people. So we raise a 4th cup of wine to this 4th promise of being a godly people.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Well, we've reached Khad Gadya time. We're going to do one a little differently than we did last year. This year, we're going to do the melody that I grew up with, thinking my grandfather wrote this melody. But there's been a rumor since that he may not have, but I'm sticking to the story.
Absolutely.
Right?
He wrote everything else.
He did. All right, so this was done last year. Remember they had that national Seder?
Oh, Adina Menzel sang in it.
She didn't sing this.
No, she didn't sing this, but she sang
She sang in it, right. Well, this is the melody they did at the very end as all the credits were going by. This was the song they sang. By the way, when it says that a kid was slewed, it means a little goat. Here we go. Oh,
Grandpa went to market once to see what he could buy. He bought a snow white kid because it caught and held his eye. The cruel cat, the greedy cat, within the valley hid, and then jumped out with wicked claws and slew the little kid. Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya. The dog was angry with the cat for doing such a deed. He leaped upon the frightened cat, he slew him with great speed. The stick was angry with the dog and leapt up from his place. He beat the dog upon the head and even in his face. Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya. The fire gave an angry roar and leaped to the attack. It burnt the stick and left it bare like ashes crisp and black. The water came and saw the fire, it flowed all round about. It covered every single spark and put the fire out. Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya. The thirsty ox from pastures came and saw the water there. He drank up every single drop, not one drop did he spare. The butcher came and saw the ox, he firmly bound his feet, and with his knife he slew the ox because he needed meat. Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya. Then came the angel dark as death with his 10,000 eyes. He merely looked, the butcher fell, a heap of bones he lies. Then God an angel sent to strike the messenger of death. The angel bright blew just one puff and slew him with his bad breath. Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya, Khad Gadya.
Even though this Seder has been a little bit unusual for us all, we would like to conclude with a message of hope.
L'shana haba'a beYerushalayim.
Next year in Jerusalem.
Next year in person.
Next year in person.
Next year. Next year.
Next year.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.